I never believed in Bigfoot. To me, it was just a blurry photo, a campfire story to spook the kids. But a week ago, deep in the Cascade Mountains, something happened that turned my world upside down. It was my annual solo camping trip, my escape from the city noise. The third night in, a storm rolled in. Rain hammered my tent, thunder shook the ground, and lightning lit up the forest in terrifying, strobing flashes. I was huddled inside, just trying to wait it out, when I heard it. A sound that wasn't thunder, wasn't a falling tree. It was a cry, a high-pitched, desperate wail that sounded eerily like a child. Every instinct screamed at me to stay put, to zip my tent up tighter. But that sound, it tore right through me. I grabbed my headlamp, pulled on my rain gear, and stepped out into the raging storm. The wind nearly knocked me over. I followed the cries, pushing through soaked branches, my heart pounding in my chest. What could possibly be out here? A lost hiker's kid? A trapped animal? The sound led me to a small clearing, and that's when my light landed on it. Lying at the base of an old-growth fir was a small, shivering creature. It was covered in matted, dark brown fur, and it was tiny, no bigger than a toddler. It looked up at me with huge, terrified, intelligent eyes, and I knew it wasn't a bear cub. It wasn't an ape. My mind was screaming, this can't be real, but my eyes were telling me otherwise. It was a baby Bigfoot. It was hurt. One of its legs was bent at an unnatural angle, and it whimpered every time it tried to move. The storm, the fear, the sheer impossibility of the situation, it all vanished. All I saw was a small, injured creature, alone and scared. I couldn't just leave it there. Carefully, I scooped it up. It was surprisingly light, and it trembled against my chest, letting out little soft cries. I carried it back to my tent, my brain working overtime, trying to process what was happening. This wasn't a myth. This was real, and it was currently curled up in my sleeping bag. I did my best to fashion a splint for its leg using a couple of sturdy sticks and some medical tape from my first aid kit. It watched me the whole time with those soulful, dark eyes, never making a threatening move. It was just watching, trusting. I named him Ben. I don't know why. It just felt right. I shared some of my granola bars, which he nibbled at cautiously, and I gave him water from my canteen. For the next 2 days, we were The storm passed, and we existed in this strange, quiet bubble. I'd talk to him, telling him stories about my life, the city, my job. He'd listen, occasionally, making these soft, rumbling sounds deep in his chest. It was the most surreal experience of my life. I knew I couldn't keep him. He belonged out here, and more importantly, his family was probably searching for him. On the third day after the storm, as his legs seemed a bit stronger, I heard a new sound in the distance. Not a cry, but a deep, resonant call, a series of whoops and hollers that echoed through the valley. Ben's ears perked up. He answered with a soft call of his own. They were looking for him. A mix of relief and sadness washed over me. It was time. I helped him out of the tent, and he hobbled alongside me, leaning on me for support. We walked toward the direction of the calls. As we reached the edge of a meadow, we saw them. 2 massive, towering figures standing at the far tree line. They were giants, covered in the same dark fur as Ben. My blood ran cold, but there was no menace in their stance. They were just waiting. Ben let out another cry, a happy one this time, and hobbled faster. He turned and looked at me one last time, and in his eyes, I swear I saw gratitude. Then he ran, as best he could, across the meadow, into the arms of his parents. The larger of the 2, who I assumed was the father, looked directly at me. He raised a hand, a gesture so human it sent a shiver down my spine, and then they turned and vanished back into the forest. I stood there for a long time, the meadow empty, the only sound, the wind in the trees. I packed up my camp in a daze. The world felt different now, bigger, more mysterious. I have no proof, no photo, no fur, sample. I didn't take any This experience felt too sacred to be turned into a spectacle. It was a secret the forest shared with me. I came to the mountains looking for a simple escape, a break from reality. Instead, I found a reality I never knew existed. My life is changed forever. I know what's really out there, hiding in the shadows, just beyond what we think we know. And sometimes, in the dead of night, I think I can still hear a faint, distant call echoing from the mountains. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever had an experience that you just can't explain, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing for more adventures.